Hello and welcome to Hospitality Hotdish, fresh from the oven. I am Kate Conroy, Vice President here at Hospitality Minnesota, which is a member-driven organization dedicated to educating, supporting, and advocating for Minnesota's hospitality industry. What you can expect from the Hotdish are conversations with restaurants, hotels, resorts, campgrounds, and the allied members who support those businesses in the state of Minnesota. We release a new episode every other Thursday, so be on the lookout for those. Speaking of which, you can find the Hot Dish just about anywhere you can download a podcast. We even put them up on YouTube. So check us out and don't forget to leave a 5-star review so that the algorithm gets us in front of other awesome people just like you. Special shout out to today's sponsor, Terratron Incorporated, which includes Marriott and Westin brand hotels located near Mall of America, along with several in the very up and coming community of Mankato, Minnesota. With me today is Branden Robinson with the South Pier Inn in Duluth, Minnesota. Branden, say hi and let the audience hear your voice.
Good morning, Kate. Good morning, world. How are you all today?
Oh, we are just excellent. It's great to have you with us. Thank you so much for making the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to jump on the show.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to start with a really hard-hitting question, as we always do. What is your favorite hot dish?
Oh boy. And I feel like that's the one I'm least prepared for. Uh,
No.
as someone that didn't really grow up with traditional hot dishes, I will say though that my favorite comfort food is my mom's beef stew. And I feel like in
Mm,
Minnesota, you have to have a favorite comfort dish. So for me,
yeah.
that's it.
So, if you didn't grow up with hot dishes, where did you grow up?
Right here in Minnesota.
Wow. So your family is like one of the entire population that doesn't do hot dish?
Not regularly, no,
Oh
no.
my God. I just need to take a moment and process that because I've never heard of anybody like that before. But I will say beef stew is an excellent choice. Like, does she make it from scratch where she like coats the beef pieces in flour and she makes a roux and
Oh yes, oh yes, yep, all from
hmm.
scratch, and yeah, the perhaps even better than how it tastes is how it makes the house smell for the whole
Oh
afternoon before you
yeah.
eat it. So that's a perfect Minnesota winter classic.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the last time I had beef stew, and it's been too long. I need to put that into my rotation for this winter. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah, that's you can't go wrong.
No, you really can't. It is the best. All right, Branden, in terms of hospitality, what is your why?
It's interesting to think about, this industry, and for me, I grew up in my mom was in hospitality, or not really hospitality management, but property management. So I grew up around the built environment, and so I grew up, really knowing how to do things with my hands a lot. And when it came time to think about seriously about what I wanted to do for a career, hospitality really came to the forefront for a couple of reasons. For me, the biggest thing was first and foremost was I wanted to be able to come back to Duluth. I'm passionate about this community. I believe that Duluth is really a hidden gem in many ways. And hospitality was something that allowed me to be involved in business and be very involved in this community. Um, I remember going back thinking in high school how many of my classmates would talk about, you know, wanting to leave the community after school, and the grass is always greener, if you will. And that mentality always bothered me to the the people didn't really understand the value of what we had in this community. And what I mean by that is you think about everything that we have here. We're a mid-sized city. Um, we've got a strong downtown core. We've got 4 full and wonderful seasons. We've got really a diverse economy. We're a regional center that some measure is about the size of the state of West Virginia. So for me, what hospitality does is it allows me to promote this community and raise the awareness of this community to a global audience. And I've been doing this job now for uh, about 17 and a half years. And in that time, I've seen the change, the expansion, the greater awareness of this community. And I think a large part of that really has to do with the reach and the impact that hospitality has. So again, community branding, community promotion, creating the or selling the identity of what this community is all about, and still pursuing business, which I had a passion about, meant that hospitality was really a perfect fit for me. And I was fortunate both to, again, grow up hands-on in understanding the built environment, uh, growing up through different parts of this business, but also getting a formal education in hospitality. So getting a 4-year degree in it as well gave me both backgrounds that I think have been beneficial to being able to excel in this field.
That is fascinating. I feel like you got the thing that nobody else got. We all go to school for a 4-year degree, not really knowing what we want to be when we
Right,
grow up. And
right,
then you get a degree in something and you end up doing something else, right? Like I can't tell you
exactly.
how many people that I've met whose majors were art history or
Right,
economics or do you know what I mean? And
exactly.
you got to go to school and learn how to do something and then you use those skills every day. Like, I feel like that's really rare.
Today that's becoming, I think, more important because obviously school is expensive, and
Yes.
I was fortunate to be able to. I actually started managing the property 4 days after I graduated from college. So the opportunity opened and
Wow.
the stars aligned, I guess. So
It was
I
meant to
was I
be.
was fortunate to have it work, but I think it's important to be intentional about what you want to do. Think longer term in where you want to make your impact. And again, hospitality has been a great avenue for that.
Fantastic. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but we'll be back. And welcome back, everybody. Branden Robinson with the South Pier Inn in Duluth. What is your favorite Minnesota escape?
I absolutely love Ely. That
Ooh.
is my go-to when I want to, when I need a day or two or three away. I generally make a reservation, a resort up in Ely. It's for me, it's close, but it's a world away in many ways. It is obviously right in the heart of the wilderness. It's got a great vibe as a small community. There are a couple of different resorts up there that I like to visit when I'm up that way. But it gives you that real feeling of relaxation, and you don't have to get on a plane and fly somewhere a long way away. For me, it's a 2 hour drive, and you're there, and just away from it. So, between its proximity to the boundary waters, the lakes that are right in the immediate proximity to the community, good restaurants, fun shops, it's just an ideal, I think, a quintessential Minnesota getaway.
So, you are already like 2.5 hours north of the Twin Cities. So I half expected you to say something like, "Oh, well, I go south to, I don't know, Brainerd or quote
Sure.
unquote civilization or everybody in Minnesota goes north." And when I think of people who already live north, I didn't think that you would say, "I go north, even more north than where I
Right,
already."
right,
That's
right.
awesome. I love that.
I wonder what people in International Falls do.
Exactly. Do they go to Canada?
Maybe.
Maybe. That's amazing. Okay. Can you talk a little bit about what you do at South Pier Inn? I know that you're the manager, you're kind of the grand poobah, but what does that really entail?
I think one of the reasons why I've enjoyed and personally have gotten as much out of this position in this business as I have over the time that I've been here is that we are a completely independent property. And from that, perspective, I'm not given a corporate operating book. I don't have a management company that's telling me what to do. I every day I come to work and decide what needs to be done to make the business run the best it can. And I'm very fortunate to have owners who are involved enough in the business that I know that there's a good support network there, that I have colleagues that I can talk to and can share ideas with, but who are going to support the decisions that I make, are going to allow me to try different things and try to be responsive to the market and keep the business moving forward. And that to me is the joy of it. Operating a hospitality property presents many challenges at any given day. And the fun part of it is keeping people happy, creating those relationships with our regular guests, and at the end of the day, just playing with the business. I know it sounds a bit trivial putting it that way, but trying new things, trying new software, trying new revenue management tools, trying new guest loyalty programs, choosing what property management system to use. Those longer term, more impactful solutions to me are the things that are really most enjoyable. And again, I also like operating a small property because even though I am responsible for everything, I don't have department heads for HR and marketing and all that. That all makes it more interesting. It makes it the buck stops here, and that's where the interest in the engagement really comes in, because instead of managing a group of department heads, it's managing the entire business. And certainly there are parts of it that are more challenging from a certainty standpoint, particularly when it comes to human resources, and especially in the market we are today. But the fact that each area of the business is directly under my control is, to me, I think, makes it a very fulfilling line of work.
That's fantastic. So jumping from that to something not too far away, what keeps you up at night? Is it, yeah.
Well, I was talking to a colleague recently, and not to plagiarize his comments, but he said, in hospitality, you only work half days. You just choose which 12 hours to work. And that's, it is a 24-hour a day business. And that in and of itself is a challenge, because you never know when something's going to come up, when there's going to be an issue that arises that you have to address. Um, because of that, having that reliability and having a strong key workforce is absolutely quintessential to a successful business. And I know my level of anxiety with the business varies based on the quality of the team I have. And I feel very fortunate now to have a strong team, many of which have been with me for a long time. And there's less uncertainty that goes along with that. Uh, People are more helpful. They get more engaged. They're more invested in the job the longer they're here. And to me, that's critical to having a successful business.
Brandon, anything coming up that you'd like to promote?
Well, we are still in our busy season here. Duluth is really a strong market through the fall months. So we've got fall colors coming up in the next week or two. We'll be reaching our peak. Duluth stays pretty busy well through October, but people start thinking about Bentleyville Tour of Lights, which is the largest free walk-through holiday light display in North America. And we have that right down in Canal Park, excuse me, at Bayfront Park. and it's a wonderful way to get in the mood for the holidays. So that starts the Saturday before Thanksgiving and goes until the day after Christmas. And again, it's a free display, great opportunity to spend time with friends, family, loved ones, and really getting that joy of the holiday season. So think about coming up to Duluth for that, if nothing else brings you up before the end of the year.
That sounds fantastic. So, follow-up question.
Yeah.
Duluth is a little bit more cold than it is down here in the cities, sort of all the time. But I imagine the wind off the lake might require some bundling up that time of year. So, if we decide to come up, what do you
Yep.
recommend in terms of I know that we can probably buy warm weather gear once we're there, but like layering jackets, like what do you recommend?
I'm really glad you asked that question, and it gives me a chance to set the record straight on a couple of things because there's this idea that Duluth is always a cold city.
I
Yes, we're an
know.
air-conditioned city, but I always tell people to remember that the lake has a terrific moderating effect on our weather. And
Really?
what we have, even though our springs tend to come a little bit later than the rest of the state, we actually don't get our first frost down here anywhere near the lake until 2 to 3 weeks after the rest of the state does, just because that lake becomes that heat sink, keeps the weather more moderate. And really, I mean, we can see, because the lake will be open generally well into January, that'll keep the temperature much warmer in Duluth than it is elsewhere in the state. So we're really fortunate to have that moderating effect. Keeps the tornadoes away, keeps a
Yeah.
lot of interesting other weather away too. But I think that's something that people don't really realize is just how big of an impact the lake has on the weather. And yes, a northeaster can be a very cold day, but in December, it's probably going to be warmer than the rest of the state if you've got a northeaster blowing. So that's the first point I want to make of that. But second, going to Bayfront end of November into December, wear your heavy parka, wear your 600 fill factor hooded jacket so you're prepared. But to me, the key to it is when I felt cold walking through the display, it's either my hands or my toes. So wear good wool socks and
hmm
good heavy mittens, and you'll be good to go.
One of my favorite lines is there's no bad weather, just bad gear. So,
Exactly.
and I'm a cold weather person. I love winter and I am all about layering up and getting the big parka and the hat and the mittens and like just enjoying life no matter what the weather is.
Mhm.
I am so glad that I asked that question though, because I had no idea that
Yeah.
Duluth was so tropical, if you will. That's so
No palm trees, but
no,
but
but I would never have guessed that it's warmer there than it is the rest of the state during
I
some periods because of the lake.
Oh, absolutely. I remember one time driving back from the Twin Cities, and I actually drove up 65. So I came back through Mora, and I think that was kind of the cold spot along the way. It was like 15 below. When I got back to Duluth, it was 20 above. So it can be very, very significant at times.
That's uh, you're blowing my mind right now. And again, like with the beef stew, I'm just gonna need to process this. That's amazing.
Yeah.
While I process, is there anything coming up? Oh, sorry, pause, rewind. You just answered that. Sorry. All right.
I'm getting out of you
While
here.
I yeah, you really threw me. While I process that, how can people get in touch with you if they need to?
Absolutely. Of course, you can always reach out to me at the hotel by phone, 218-786-9007. Or best way to get a hold of me is always by email, and that's Branden, and it's spelled Branden at southpierinn.com. So, yeah, please shoot me an email. I'd love to connect.
Fantastic. Okay, well, that is the show. One last shout out to our sponsor, Terratron Incorporated, which includes Marriott and Westin branded hotels located near the Mall of America, along with several in Mankato, Minnesota. Thank you to Terratron for the support. Branden Robinson with the South Pier Inn. Thank you so much for joining me today. And to all of you out there listening, we will see you next time. Bye.